I got something for you guys.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so one of my favorite Miller Lights in Chicago is at a Chicago Dogs game.
Who?
Why is that?
Because I have come to the realization that my love is to the game of baseball. It is not
I knew you were going to say that.
to teams.
It's all upside.
Or players or GMs or owners. It's to whatever game is happening in front of me. And it's quality baseball, and I like a Chicago Dogs game. I love going there having Miller Lite. Now, here's what I have for you guys. I've been watching a ton of Vin Scully docs lately, or just like old interviews and him like meet with the media. It's honestly fascinating. It's like a Wikipedia dive on drugs. You just get sucked into these Vin Scully stories. I've been so captivated with this. I reach out to the Chicago Dogs to see if I could just like sit in a radio booth as like a third guy and contribute, just because I've been so inspired about the love the guy had just sitting there talking about the game. I haven't heard back from the Dogs yet. I did DM them 3 hours ago. Was open to it. So, and
I think
just
that's
the
something
idea
that
sitting
we
there with
could
a Miller
probably-
Lite would be fun.
I think that's something we could probably make happen.
Did Vin Scully drink Miller Lite while he was broadcasting?
Fuck yeah, he did.
He tells
The
great
one-man
stories about getting the beers after in Brooklyn and how that was like an adjustment when they got to Los Angeles, because they had to say like, there's like, I'll say it wrong. I'm not going to do the guy injustice. He just said it was cool in Brooklyn because they could always go out and have Miller Lights, the equivalency at the time.
Yep.
And then when they got to LA, it was like, it was just kind of spread out a lot. But we're in Chicago, and there's no better beer than Miller Lite here.
I mean, throw a dart any direction, you'll hit a Miller Lite. That's like one of the best things about being in Chicago. It is the Chicago beer. And the only thing it goes better with is one of those Chicago Dogs. Together, Miller Lite and Vienna beef. That is the most authentic Chicago hot dog brand. They're making sure everyone can experience the glory of a Chicago dog on the day that honors the Frank best. So Miller Lite is sponsoring these happy hours at selected bars and restaurants all over Chicagoland, all the way until August 23rd. And if you're one of the first 500 people to show up, you get a free hot dog. So can't beat that. And we had a great time. We did the Wiener Circle one we've talked about. You guys have probably seen it in Stool Scenes. Awesome time. Great event. They got music. They got beers going. They got the hot dogs going. Absolute summertime Chicago vibes there. So next time you're getting ready to enjoy a cold one with your crew, go to MillerLite.com/redline to find delivery options near you, or you can just pick them up anywhere they sell Miller Lite. Anywhere they sell beer, they're going to have Miller Lite. It's just part of being in Chicago. So celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Amen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Chicago sports fans. This is Barstool Cowboy.
Ian White Sox Dave.
Chief.
And this is Redline Radio, an all gas, no break Chicago sports podcast brought to you by Barstool Sports Chicago and Miller Lite. And it's the three of us. Eddie is out on assignment. I'm happy to be here today. I have a phenomenal feeling about the show we're going to put together. I think this is going to be a good show. We're going to be joined by Pat Fitzgerald in a little bit. And how'd that come about? We had Bielema, or did he got competitive about it, or
No, I did reach out to him to the Northwestern athletic department. And I'm like, hey, like I asked you guys like 3 times last year. Didn't happen. It's all good. You guys stunk last year. It's fine. We didn't want to talk to you anyways. But just saying, Coach Bielema.
Why do you have such a hard time with that?
I don't know. I mean,
it's not like he's new. He's been around for
I'll
like
tell you, if he was
years.
a hot girl with a big set of tits, Dave would know his name.
I say a name once.
That's a fair joke.
And as soon as I say it, that's how I'll say it for life until like I practice.
I think the problem is like you read his name like you're a second grader. You're sounding
kinda.
it out. Yeah.
I think it's
for
his
sure.
brain's defense mechanism to be disrespectful.
Bielema. It looks like Bielema.
It does.
So
kind of. But it's
Bielema.
Bielema.
Coach Bielema.
Instinctually refusing
Like, hey,
to
Coach
say a man's
Bielema
name.
just came in. Your guys' arch rivals. He was awesome. Love to have Fitz on. And they're like, you know what? You're right. Let's make it happen. Next
All
day
right.
we're interviewing. Simple as that. Loved it.
Little thing about Illinois, I was going through, so I can't remember who wrote it, but it was like the biggest freaks in college football. Did you see this?
Northwestern had one.
Yeah.
Illinois has the Twins.
Oh,
They have twins. They're like, we don't know
The
which
Browns.
one. Yeah, but we don't know which one to pick, so we're picking them both.
so when I was down for the spring game, I asked somebody at the end of the day, I go, what's up with those guys? Like, are they like this? Because I'm to the point of you calling them freaks and just being like wound up, jacked out of their minds. They look like they were made in a lab. I mean, these guys' arms are like, you shouldn't look like that.
Are they twitchy?
I mean, no, dude, they're huge and carved.
Yeah. But
It's
are
not
they
just the
also
size.
twitchy?
I don't know.
You don't know if they're twitchy. Okay.
I mean, the fibers look twitchy.
All right, that's what I'm looking for.
I mean, twitchy doesn't.
When I hear
necessarily
freak,
mean
like
yoked.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
But
twitchy's
you can be both.
Yeah, you can be both,
Yeah.
but
twitchy's in the calves to me. If you say twitchy, I see a high calf.
Oh,
no, it can be anywhere.
it can be anywhere. Yeah, just fast twitch muscles. I could think of like a guy with fast hands in baseball. Oh, he's
Yeah.
twitchy.
Oh yeah.
But that to me, twitchy's lean.
It
I
can
think
be.
it can be, but it can be both. But
Can you be
that's
big and twitchy?
Yeah.
when I hear freak, I think fast twitch muscles.
Yes.
Like anybody can be fucking jacked. Just get in the gym.
That
But
doesn't that you can be tight and stiff and
Right.
unathletic and
Right.
jacked, but you can be a twitchy jacked.
which is probably the,
The
best
best.
thing
Yeah,
in the world.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
So
like
yeah,
what-
they're twitchy jack.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
I've been doing a little bit of yoga.
like I'm thinking of like change of direction, ability to flip your hips, stuff like that.
Would you want if
Dunk a
Dave,
basketball.
Dunk a basketball.
let's power rank
Explosiveness.
the
Yeah.
high school football drills as how much fun they would be to run as the coach? I will take the one where the DB stand there and you just point the football in directions and they got to open the hips and then you take the football and,
it's
you
on
point
the
it behind your
broomstick.
head and then they got to sprint through the line
I think it's the line coach who's standing on top of the sled. He just goes for a ride.
with the whistle.
Yep.
That's a good one.
That's the best one because you're
Next.
literally just having like you're driving a wagon and they're the manual labor. They're the horsepower.
When you guys were growing up playing sports and you guys and I felt this way especially in baseball because you don't have to be in great shape to be a baseball player at any position. I don't even care if it's a pitcher, but like cardio shape that is. I would always think to myself, why in the fuck are we doing so much conditioning? And it's just because coaches like it. I mean, obviously it makes you a little better,
discipline.
especially in football, but like once I started coaching after college, I loved making those kids run. It was like I loved it.
I think my only real year of baseball, our coaches, we would have like these inter squad like drills and games and stuff all the time, and it was basically just to add a little stakes to the competition. Like if your team lost, you're doing polls.
There was one, we did this my freshman year, and actually I should ask Fitz about this when we interview him today, but
We've already interviewed him. It was an amazing interview. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We haven't interviewed him yet. He's in an hour. Nonetheless, there's a running back that was a walk-on on his team from my high school. I've never met Jake Arthurs, but his older brother was a year older than me, and he's now the Naperville North defensive coordinator, and his dad was one of my sophomore coaches and freshman coaches. He moved up with our class. But we did this thing at the end of every year where the entire team got in a giant circle, and he would call two players' numbers out that were like comparable in size and everything, and you would have like a legit fully padded out just wrestling match, MMA. You could do whatever you want. You could body slam, all that, and that's how he ended each season, like the day before each game. And that was my favorite thing on
Jesus
it.
Christ.
Yes, it was my
Stupid.
but it was awesome.
How did Billy
and
rupture his spinal cord?
It was like a gladiator. Everybody was cheering for everybody. Like, and if someone like got legit pinned, we all just start ripping on that kid.
Don't you miss?
Yeah, I miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't.
Well,
yes,
and like,
very much.
And this is like I remember because that drill will never be allowed ever again.
No,
it's kind
it
of
won't.
like it's like dodgeball where they're just like like dodgeball is too violent or something. I feel like even like my brother who's 10 years younger than me, like they didn't get to play dodgeball because it was by that. And now I feel like shit like this, like you can't make kids run.
Yeah, I mean,
you
it's
can't
just like-
yell at kids.
Oh, can we talk about that for a second? The warm embrace.
Sure.
Do you?
Oh, okay. The Little League
start.
World Series. So I will introduce this topic. First, I have a take. Then we're going to do an ad read. Is that
Okay.
okay? My take is this. The older I've gotten, the more I understand the mindset of where those coaches were at, like on those Thursday afternoons at 3:30 on the Brother Rice practice fields, where those guys are leaving their jobs early and they got the young kids and the mortgage payments and the fucking transmissions blown. The stuff when you're like a teenager, you're just like, yeah,
give
life's
a
great. I'm
shit.
going to
Yeah.
school. Gives a fuck.
Right.
Man, coach is
You
pissed
have
today.
no
Now that I'm
responsibilities,
35,
yeah.
it's like, man, those guys must have been so pissed. So pissed. Like middle-aged guys coming in the middle of the day to coach a football team getting paid $2,000.
Yep.
And they're going to look at a guy who's like not giving effort. Like, no shit they made us run. No shit they were pissed off the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I know.
That's how. I mean, looking back, that's probably subconsciously how I was thinking of it. Because it was like chewing up my entire weekend. I was, watching 12 baseball games a weekend with kids
Like
that
I don't
didn't
like
give a
you
fuck.
kids any more than you like me. So just like I'm gonna take it out
Fucking
on
run.
you. But I'm in charge, so you're fucking running.
The story Dave's talking about, the Little League World Series, is such a good story that we are officially going to say this story is sponsored by somebody. It's such a fucking juicy story. It deserves its own sponsor. Who is this story brought to us by?
Well, it's going to be Roman. So it's for all those angry coaches that want to go home and work out some frustration with their wives and they want to do it a little bit longer. Get on getting that testosterone. So testosterone is an important part of a man's body and health, but men's testosterone starts to deplete with age. They say that age, boys, we're all beyond that age.
Oh, I'm there.
You start declining after the age of 25. Signs of low T can include decline in energy and stamina, check. Weight gain, check. Hair loss, I'm good there. And a low sex drive, check-ish. Roman's testosterone support supplements were designed by real doctors to help men maintain their body's natural testosterone production. This daily supplement includes 6 nutrients to help support testosterone levels, bone health, muscle development. Who wouldn't want proper levels of testosterone in their body? I feel like this is something that it's like you don't even think about it until it's too late. So I feel like everybody on this panel should be looking in to go into Roman, and you can go to GetRoman.com/redline to get $15 off your first order of Roman T support. That's GetRoman.com/redline, GetRoman.com/redline, $15 off. And this is something I'm not joking. I'm gonna take the plunge on this.
I was thinking about this. I gotta get the T going.
Yeah,
I drafted T first overall.
Yep, that's a good letter, and you don't want to have low T.
Yeah,
I
want a lot of T.
Yeah,
A ton of T.
Be funny if we all started taking these testosterone supplements and just like just like see how that conversation evolves over time. We come in like, God damn, Chief, let's go do some fucking curls. Let's go talk to some chicks.
get some. Yeah,
not that.
but like if you
get the point.
those signs of low T. Decline in energy and stamina, like 1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. Weight gain. Look at us today, or look at me. Look at me today versus what I looked like in 2018. I think I might start having some low T issues. So yeah, like we got in the hair loss. Obviously, you guys have that one, and I don't want to comment on your sex life. So, but yeah, this is something that I think everybody our age should be looking into, and it's no shame in that. So go to GetRoman.com/redline.
So from a Get Roman ad read to the Little League World Series, I will tee this up by saying I think this is an opportunity for a good social clip. So I will say what's going on, and then Dave, I want you to like hammer it because I think Lance could do a good thing, like mixing in. Do we have the rights to use any of that for a social clip if this is done well?
Yeah, if we use like less than 4 or 5 seconds, we'll be all right.
Okay, because this is something we're passionate about at Barstool Chicago, and that's just like stop where these kids are pussies. I think.
I think so too.
Little League World Series story. Here's what's going on.
You Barstool losers don't know it. Lack empathy.
I do lack empathy.
Is it Indiana versus Kentucky? Who's playing?
It doesn't matter.
It was Midwest teams. I know that.
Okay.
Oh no, actually, I think no, never mind. That was the kid who hit the bomb. Some kid hit like a 4,000-foot bomb, and he was from Hawaii.
Okay, we respect
Anyways.
that too. Dropping bombs will always be sweet.
Let's keep it narrow. Let's stay on this subject.
Indiana, Kentucky. We'll just say Indiana, Kentucky's playing whatever. Batter's up, a right-handed batter. Ball clearly slips out of his hand. Could be a breaking ball. Hits the kid in the helmet. He takes a dive, throws the helmet off. In a respectable fashion, that's what any like 11-year-old is doing when they get hit in the head on ball or get hit in the head with a ball on ESPN. Fine.
Totally.
So he gets up, jogs over to first base, realizes like, hey, we have a chance to go to fucking Williamsport here. Yeah, he's fine. He's like, we got to go to Williamsport. Like he's down at first base. He's ready to go. And then all of a sudden they call time. He takes the helmet off. He goes over to the mound, hugs the pitcher. They have a warm embrace, as Chief described it.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, guys, I saw the clip and all I could think about is, what's going through White Sox Dave's head watching that?
I bet
he was
I honestly believe that. I don't want to say I was disgusted.
I kind of was.
I play it up for social media and all that, but I was like, come on, man. Just like one of those. Like the fucking Randy Moss shit we used to do. Or we used to do. We drafted.
Yeah.
It was, I think there's sportsmanship, and I think this is not sportsmanship. I think this is way too far, and it's outrageous behavior. And I don't think that's me lacking empathy. I don't think that's me being raised wrong. I think that this is all. I don't think that this would have gone down had there not been cameras around. Obviously, these kids know for the first time in their lives they're around cameras and TV and all that. And they watch the Little League World Series just like everybody else does.
I don't know if you think about that when you're 12. Like, I got to ham this up
oh,
to the camera.
Dude, come on. That's what everybody does now. And you have to understand we're obviously 20 years older than well, for you, probably like 30, but we're older than these kids. That's all they know is like social media and
I
selfies
suppose,
and all that.
But you don't think when you're on the field, in a
I
big
think
game,
they
you're
are
thinking about
very,
how do I capitalize on this moment?
I think they're very, very aware of that. I could be wrong, but my theory is that they're very aware of that and that this would not have happened had cameras not been around. They know they're on ESPN. They see all the ball washing for all the overzealous sportsmanship, the broadcast.
Yes.
Yeah, they are very aware of that.
Like that kid's thinking like, man, maybe I get an SB. Maybe I go to LA and get to meet LeBron.
I don't think it's that deep. I think they'll have their moment on.
How old is he?
12. He might be 13, so he might be a teenager, which makes it a little different. I think once you're a teenager, you are fully allowed to get ripped apart.
I think
by anybody.
a hat tip from the pitcher there is fine. If the pitcher does like the hey that's on me thing, we got that. That's
completely fine.
Right.
I'd even take a meeting in between the mound and first base for a light, emotionless fist bump.
Just like that. Bump it out.
Yeah.
However, after that, a hug?
Ugh.
That's your I mean, Portnoy said it, so like this isn't I should give credit to Dave's take on it. That's your mound.
You got to own that inner half.
Like,
yeah.
Sometimes you just own it a little too much and you hit the kids.
Right. And it's not.
I mean, but if you're
that's the joke. That part's a joke.
Yeah.
You
okay,
idiots.
it's obviously there is one kid in that dugout though who like got up this morning. They're at the pool hanging out, whatever, which obviously that's the best time. They're hanging out at the pool, and there's at least one kid out in the dugout who is ripping on him.
I hope so.
I would really
There's got to be a
I
kid in the
hope
dugout who's
so.
like, yo, Bobby, come on, man. What was that?
We've gone too far in the anti-bullying campaign. There's got to be a socially accepted hazing to the point where like people get hurt.
No.
Wrong. Hazing,
bold take, Chief.
bullying to the point where people act right. We need a little bit of that. There's a fine line, and I feel like the pendulum has swung too far the other way, where we have all these like, I don't know, little pussies running around like crying, like, oh, I accidentally hit the kid, like it was an accident, like fuck it. And even if it was on purpose, like brushing them back and it got away from him a little bit, I'm even okay. Like, what are we doing here? You're competing. I have a story, but I feel like it makes me sound like such a hardo.
It's people are going to be coming at us for our takes on this.
All right,
so just say it.
When I was in Pee Wee, I played with this kid. So the Pee Wee is like, maybe it was Bantam. I think I was like 13, 14, something like that. I had this kid on my team. He was on my team for either 2 or 3 full seasons. And then we went our separate ways and we played against each other. And I had an opportunity, like he had the puck, it was a clean hit, broke his arm. He had to be like kind of like, it wasn't even like the biggest hit. It was just like I caught him the right way.
Yeah.
And my mom afterwards, she's like, oh, do you want to go? And his kid's name was Jimmy. You want to go like apologize to Jimmy? And I'm like, for what? Like for what? Like she's like, well, you hurt him. You broke his arm. Like, well, we're playing hockey. Like what the fuck? Like why
injuries happen.
Why the fuck would I
Now, if you took your
apologize?
stick and like cold cocked him or pulled
Right,
it was a
but,
Ty
it was on time. It was everything. I'm like, I'm not apologizing for shit. Like that kid, like he had the puck. I hit him, and like that's it. Like I'm not it sucks his arm's broken, but I don't really care.
No,
I
you
don't
don't think about that again.
I don't feel bad for 1 second, and I kind of feel like that's what this situation should be with this kid. Like you should not be feeling bad about like the kid, especially because the kid's fine.
If the kid dropped and he was like knocked out cold, and the pitcher went up to him and he was like, I mean,
yeah, it's scary. And
it's
you feel
scary,
bad.
and you cry. 11-year-olds cry. 12-year-olds cry. That shit comes and goes with age. But the kid popped right up and was on first base, and the kid's crying his eyes out. And I said, and that's the weirdest part is people actually thought that my dad would have beat the shit out of me. My dad never laid a hand on me growing up. Maybe a time or two when I actually did deserve it.
Hyperbole. It was hyperbole.
It was hyperbole. My dad absolutely would have been like, what the fuck was that? Don't ever do that again. Like, that is not how you handle being on a baseball field at all.
I think it's I don't know. Like I was encouraged kind of like I have this other story from prep school where my dad went to my first football game and I was playing like D-end outside linebacker. I was getting held the entire time. And it was like, no calls, whatever. So my dad after the game, he's like, hey, and my dad was like, my dad had like his high school rushing record for like 45 years.
Al Bundy.
In high school in Connecticut. And
what class?
He was class of 72, I think, and high school class 72. Anyway, so he was like, next time that happens to you in a game, just uppercut the guy right underneath his sternum. So I'm like, that sounds like a pretty good idea. And I did that, and then I did it to a kid, and nobody saw it except for the guard on their team, who was this huge kid, ended up going to Kansas State. He just came over and matamboed me, and then like ruined my life for the next 3 hours. And like, because it was one of those things where I'm like, I felt good about myself for 1 second until I saw that kid. He just went up to me after the play, like, oh no. And then, the rest is history. You just kick my ass for the next 3 hours.
There's something special about being on a football field and just knowing that there's like a
there's
guy
just
out there
nothing
just,
you
like,
can do.
manhandling.
Yep.
Everybody. That's a good check.
Like,
it's a good
he's
ego
good.
check.
He's good. I'm not. And then that's how it goes.
And the ego check there isn't like it is in baseball. It's like, oh wow, that guy's skillful. He throws hard. Or basketball, like, man, that guy's tall and graceful. It's like football, like, no, that guy's just beating the shit out of us.
He's just a bigger man than me. Yeah. Bigger,
Okay,
stronger, tougher,
speaking
faster.
of bigger, stronger, tougher, faster football players. Some will accuse us of bearing the lead on Roquan Smith. We are definitely talking about this story right now. I will open this up with a caveat that I'm not. This is different because he doesn't. To me, it's different because he doesn't have an agent. So the takes are measured. I know I was literally driving past Soldier Field while they fucking announced it. Was like, "Fuck you, Bears." That turned out to be a good video. That's timing. That's just like luck. That's not like getting in the car. That's pure luck. But I'm really burying the lead. But my point is, I don't know how strongly to react early in reflection based on the fact that he doesn't have an agent, and Poles was in the media saying like, we're working on it and we're addressing it. We want to keep Roquan here full time. I don't know. But
like I guess I don't understand your point about not having an agent.
Because an agent could be like, yeah, we definitely don't say that publicly. Like we're gonna do this. Like you definitely don't write that statement. Like the agent would be like or maybe the agent says you go in harder or you do it sooner or this is how we get the
or maybe
contract
the
extension
agent
talks.
says they don't tell him about all these insulting things, where it's like, hey, like they're asking for this de-escalator clause where nobody in the league, non-quarterback, making over $15 million has one of those. So like that is insulting, and so it's like you don't, and then it backload the contract completely so you can get rid of your obligation. So it looks good on paper, but like in reality, you're not going to see that money. Maybe the agent is the buffer, so the player doesn't end up being like, well, fuck you, and the agent can just kind of handle that without any feelings getting hurt. But I kind of think it's sweet that Roquan's doing that. Like, I'm not giving 3% cool. on agent fees or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it's super, like,
and he's clearly not stupid.
I'm thinking
a stupid
of a
guy
better
would
word
have signed
than
that.
cool. I'm thinking of a better word than cool because I think it has the chance.
Admirable.
You guys know Roquan personally. Yeah, there's something there where it's like, it's sweet that you're the leader. It's sweet that you want to do this yourself. It's sweet that you want to be a Chicago Bear for life. And you have the confidence to sit in the room with those guys because it's like, that's business. Those guys are sharp. We're talking about significant, like, have you guys ever sat down and tried to understand the NFL salary cap?
I didn't go to MIT. How would I do it?
Like, that's crazy to me that Roquan would be comfortable enough.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say crazy. That's like your point, admirable. However, to your point, when you say that about the mean stuff, I go back to this conversation I had with an agent in 2011 when I went to the National Baseball Arbitration Contest representing my law school. How nerdy is that?
Very.
Great week. And I talked to Mark Shapiro, and how
do I know that name?
He's
Indians.
an agent. It's like his brother or his cousin is a Shapiro from the Indians.
Okay.
And then the other cousin's an agent who reps a lot of players out of Miami.
Okay.
And so he was like one of the judges or whatever. And afterwards we were talking about his career as an agent. And I was like, hey, this might be like a stupid question, but like, why would a baseball player like need your services? Like, is it really that complicated? And he had obviously a great answer because it's his fucking career. But one thing that stuck with me is he said, one of the great things I can do is be the buffer between all the mean shit they're going to say when they're trying to devalue. Yep. He's like the meanest. And he told a story about Jeff Conine sitting in an arbitration meeting and like just freaking out. Like just after being like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what are they saying? Where it's like, okay, well, he's slowing down. He doesn't nearly have any of the power that he used to have. Like when they get into like teammate relations and shit. It's like, dude, I'm Mr. Miami Marlin for the last 3 years. I've won your teammate award. Like, and now as we bring up the Roquan stuff, it's one thing if it's Jeff Conine, who's the example in my head of sitting in this room. But another one, it's Roquan is the gem.
First round draft pick. He
everything
the
right
face
now.
of the team right now outside Justin Fields.
You could argue that he's the only established good player on the team.
Yes, 100%.
So because
I mean, Cody Whitehair, kind of, maybe
but like
something like that.
but Whitehair is, I would say, is much more replaceable.
Fuck yeah, he
than
is.
Roquan Smith
Yeah.
and Justin Fields. I'm a big believer in Justin Fields. He hasn't done it yet. So the only like established Pro Bowl quality guy that they have right now is Roquan Smith. They spent no money this offseason. They have a ton of cap space going forward into the future. So they have the money. And they need good players. And it's not like he's 29. He's 25 years old. He's still going to give you at least 4 or 5 very good years. And then, you have a guy that you can start. All right, we have one guy in our defense that we like. And then maybe it's Jalen Johnson, a couple other guys. But if you can plant one flag with one guy and make him the leader, and he's done all like the leadership things that you would want out of.
He really has.
Yeah. He's a good guy and a great football player. If you're not going to pay him, then who you're going to pay? I guess the only pushback, if I was trying to be like, put my Ryan Poles hat on, being like, hey, we just don't want to pay that position that kind of money. Like, we'd rather put it on defensive ends or save it for Fields or add players next year and have that money available, because we just don't think a weak side linebacker is worth that much. And that is like a different argument. But I still think you need good players to win. It's easier to keep the ones than go find new ones. So I would keep him.
You said that. Why is he moving from Mike to Will? Is it just new scheme?
Yeah.
It's just new scheme.
That's all it is. So
Yeah.
they're going to play with 4 up front.
Yeah.
And then he's going to, almost.
And
I love a new scheme.
I honestly
Yeah.
always thought he should have been Will, personally.
Well, they
That's just more
played
how he-
more of a
right.
3-man front before.
Right.
So,
They were 3-man front, so I
Right.
guess technically it had to be Will now.
Right.
But
So, stupid question maybe. If he's weak side,
Yeah.
does that put him in more pass coverage
you
situations?
kind of are more freed up to just do your thing
Yeah.
as a weak side linebacker. That's a very simple way to put it. And as you advance through appropriate levels of football, like in high school, you're not going to block a lot of weak side linebackers because you don't need to. In the NFL, that's not necessarily the case. So you might have false pulls and throw a tight end on them just to get a body on them, shit like that. But in general,
typically that's where your best athlete and linebackers are.
yes, so like
you'll
fast.
have,
Yes,
Yeah, you'll have a hammerhead who plays. You have like a Briggs, and then you'll have a guy who plays downhill as your true middle linebacker in a 4-3, and then it's the backside guy who just cleans everything up.
Yeah.
and he will drop into coverage usually more too.
No.
So your best athlete and linebacker typically plays that spot.
Okay, so let's pay him some fucking money. Sounds like he's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. I don't see, like, especially because he was drafted when he was 20.
yeah.
He is so young. I mean, you give him a 5-year deal, whatever guaranteed money you want to give him. It doesn't matter because you're going to get him through what is the prime of his career, and there shouldn't be any wasted years on that deal.
Here's a fun little stat for you. Roquan is one of 5 players since 1994 with 500-plus tackles, 10-plus sacks, 30 tackles for loss over their first 4 NFL seasons. The other guys, Urlacher, Hall of Fame. Patrick Willis probably would have been in the Hall of Fame had he not had all the injury issues. Levante David on his way to the Hall of Fame. And Shaq Leonard, the Colts guy.
Yeah, who's awesome.
Yeah. Same draft class as Roquan. Got paid. He got a 5-year, $98.5 million deal. Now,
Coached by
Eberflus. And Leonard, if you're going to say, well, Leonard's better, he does force more turnovers, like a lot more. But how much of that is just Leonard being a better football player, and how much of that is Roquan? It's the system. So, like, could Roquan put up better numbers, getting his hands on balls and recovering fumbles and forcing fumbles and things like that in this system the way Leonard does, or is it just Leonard's better? Like, I don't know. It's so hard.
There's nuance.
Exactly. So I can't imagine that Roquan can't do that. That seems like, that seems almost something you can learn. Like, we saw that with Peanut. Like, he was just like, I'm going to be a ball. It's like a mindset. So could that be something Roquan picks up with these new coaches in this new system where he's more of a ball hawking, force fumbles, cause chaos kind of guy? I think it's possible. And my biggest thing is like, hey, if they had spent this summer and their money just was actually tight and they were trying to be good, then it'd be like, all right, like you got to figure it out. But this is just like, you have money to spend because you didn't spend it elsewhere. You got fucking Byron Pringle. So I don't want to hear that you don't have the money or you're trying to save cap space. This is a guy you give money in cap space too.
I mean, there will be 29 other teams lining up for Roquan Smith in 2020 right now.
Like, what's the point then? We draft good player, and then it's just like, all right, you're going to fuck with
That's
you?
the other
Exactly.
thing. Is it
And
a
it's so
holdover
hard.
from the Pace era?
Yeah. And I guess, you know, if I were an agent or a player on the Bears and you find out the details of these offers that, you know, went through Mike Rappaport, Ian Rappaport. Like those, yikes. That's tough. That's a tough one. I mean, Portnoy made that mistake when he fired Mike Rappaport.
That's true.
So via text.
What a great Barstool moment there.
Yeah.
You're fired. Like, sorry, David, I don't work for you.
Yeah. Anyways.
Sorry, wrong Rappaport.
Yeah, wrong Rappaport.
He's like, what the fuck did I do?
Yeah.
Just a great screenshot.
That was great. But that's like, I lost my train of thought. But the offer was so insulting, and it makes you just not like trust them. Like they're not being like good faith partners in this thing. And if I'm, you know, Mooney or somebody else, and I'm watching the situation knowing that I'm a free agent next year and I was from the old regime and I feel I'm undervalued and, you know, I have delivered on my rookie deal, then I would be like, what, you know, this is not a good situation. Like, you got to be an honest broker so people will trust you and you have that a reputation as such, because this is Poll's first go around, and the first thing that we've seen, like, no one knows about the draft yet, and then the first real story about him is how this Roquan thing is playing out. So it's not a good way to start your regime and your era, in my opinion.
No, not at all, but I do want to give him credit one more time for at least just like quickly addressing it, because there is nothing more frustrating than when you know something's going on and whoever's in charge is just like, no, we're not talking about it. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I feel like at least I've been jaded recently with Cubs experiences and, like, you know, just transparency issues. Maybe we're wounded here.
Transparency would be nice.
Bears are how far away from opening?
I don't even give a fuck, man.
I think it's-
I haven't been this
They
disengaged.
start the season 2-0. I'll tell you right now, we are having a nice little chat week 3. It's just the way it is. You know,
Well-
surrender yourself to the fact that if they do outperform expectations early, we will
I know
suck
what my
the fucking
expectations are right now, and it's them to be a bottom 5 team in football.
Week 1 is September 11th, so we are
month
about
away.
31 days from that. 30 days. Fucking NFL.
I mean, autoplay, really? Still?
I mean, seriously.
Fuck is
What
That's
are we
ESPN.
doing?
It's the worst.
That's
Yeah,
NFL.com.
yeah, add this plug-in.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's just like, hey, like, they're not going to start 2-0. They got San Francisco out of the gates. Like, it's going to be a rough year, and I think we're all fine with that on some level, but it's like you don't want to be just embarrassed all the time. And I feel like, yeah, they go 49ers at Packers. So 2-0 might be tough. Let's get that Houston Texans game week 3 circled on the calendar.
Yeah, they're going to be really bad.
Oh, but then you got the
Bears
Lovey
might
game.
win that.
Lovey's coming home for that, right?
I see still coaching, man.
He's lovable.
Hey, shout out to Illinois landing an NFL coach. I mean, in between stops. I mean, come on.
Pretty good.
Speaking of college football, we should probably be getting to Pat Fitzgerald pretty soon. But first, we'd like a word from
Skrill. So it's gambling season officially. In my brain, this is when the calendar clicks. We got soccer going on right now, and then it's college football, NFL right behind it. That to me is I'm done with baseball. I got wiped out on baseball. But Skrill is what you need for gambling season. Skrill is the best digital wallet for gamblers, and because it was built by gamblers. Sophisticated gamblers use it to manage their bankroll, whether they are playing games like poker or betting on their favorite sports. They manage their bankroll using the wallet, which allows them to pay instantly and securely. It's payments without limits, basically. You can access your bankroll with instant deposit and withdrawals, and also draw the cash using your prepaid card. So that's kind of key. Like, that's something that no matter where you're doing it, there's always a little bit of lag time. Not anymore. Skrill's got that. So let's just say Skrill is the best digital wallet for sports bettors. So it's a no-brainer to create your free account right this instant. Make sure you sign up at skrill.com/barstool to create that free account and complete account verification by clicking follow the game after registering so you can start using their digital wallet today. Skrill, gambling season, you got to have it. You got to do it. And am I alone on that? The football season is gambling season. Like it kind of goes and ebbs and flows. And then
Football, especially Big Ten season, and then definitely March Madness.
I think it's the most standard of the betting seasons, where like you can have more casual conversations with people about like, oh, what do you think of the total 44.5?
Right.
Like, that's a normal thing. Baseball season,
It's
like you see a
every
guy
single
walking
day.
around talking about like, well, I like the Athletics tonight plus 145 against the Angels because Ohtani's lost 2 in a row, and it's just like, then you're like, okay, this guy's obviously dialed in. That's the difference between the cat. So in my point, Chief, I agree with you.
yeah.
It's summer of it would be if.
It's different for baseball because you have 7 days of gambling on baseball, and I haven't made a bet whatsoever in like 2 months now. But it's for football season. You got that 1 day a week, well, 2 days a week with college, and then Monday, and then Thursday,
Yeah.
and then Tuesday night.
Well,
match.
Friday
All you
night,
do
you
is
have like
just
Big
go
Ten.
until
you have,
February.
Yeah, you got Big
They
Ten
don't have
games.
that anymore. I'm pretty sure they got rid of Friday games.
Dude, you get a breather for like 2 weeks, and then and then the college basketball conference tournament show up.
Yeah.
And credit to all football organizations everywhere that have banded together to give us more football content. Because before it was, Dave, just Saturdays and Sundays,
Now it's Mondays,
right? Well, I mean, then there was
Monday Night Football.
Mondays for a long time.
And then you got Maction on Tuesdays. You got Thursday Night Football, and then there's always Friday
Even though,
games.
God
like,
bless America.
Dude,
Yeah.
the Thursday games are
So
always
Wednesdays are like the only
awful.
off night of the week moving forward, which is 6 is less than 7, so you're not gambling every single day during football season.
It's a nice Jaguars-Texans matchup for you. Week 10 on a Thursday night. Fucking 13-6 going in the fourth quarter. No, like
I can't wait.
both teams are somehow losing the turnover battle.
It's weird.
They're both 4-8, but only a game. They're still on the graphic somehow because the division's so bad.
And like Mike Mayock sitting there sincerely telling you, like, now I've been watching them, and they are honestly just a couple plays away from that 4-8 being an 8-4.
And that's enough to get you sucked in.
That's
Thanks.
all I need.
So let's get to Pat Fitzgerald. This is cool that he came on the show. We like doing this with close friends of our program. He is a guy that has a lot of respect from the people in Barstool, Chicago.
I love Pat Fitzgerald because they gave us the keys to their facility like 3 months into this job. So now like booking guests and things like that have gotten a little bit easier. It was hard when we were out of the gates, and they welcomed us with open arms, and I'm glad he's coming back now.
Yeah, there's a lot of good guys at the Wildcat athletic program who have been very supportive of us. So, Chief, thank you for bringing that
Shout
up.
out to Coach Reynolds and
Yes.
Coach Napoleon.
And the guys over at the baseball program. So if you are outside of Chicago but follow our stuff, or maybe you are unfamiliar with, like Northwestern.
Everyone knows Fitz now,
Yeah,
right?
it's like-
He's been
yeah,
here for
national
20 years.
brand.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if there would be people here that are like, no, Pat Fitzgerald's a huge fucking pole.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Pat Fitzgerald. People know Pat Fitzgerald around the country now.
This guy should be coaching the Bears.
I mean,
Let's
it
get
was
to Pat
him, like
Fitzgerald.
Mario
always say it.
Cristobal. I want to say Coach O, and a few other like big time. I don't think Saban was on there. Lincoln Riley, I want to say, was on it. They had like 5 major coaches, and they had the Peyton Manning or the Manning cast. They had that for like 2 years ago for one of the bowl games, and it was fucking sweet watching these guys, all football guys to the T.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yucking it up. But Pat Fitzgerald was included with all these like blue chip major program head coaches. So yes, Pat Fitzgerald has a national respects in the college football ranks.
He does. And with that, let's get to Coach Fitz.
Whoosh. All right, we are joined by Pat Fitzgerald, head football coach, the Pat and Shirley Ryan head football coach. I know I got to throw that in there.
Dan and Susan Jones, but you were close. That's okay.
I knew I was close enough, but I know
Yeah.
how you always introduce yourself, and I went off the cuff there. I want to start here for the interview. I want to say congratulations to your son, Jack, on his commitment to Northwestern University.
Thanks. I'm really fired up, man. I get to see him more in college than I did in high school. So good stuff, man. As a dad, you're incredibly proud. The best part is I'm not going to coach him every day, right? He's got a position coach, so he'll deal with him. But it'll be great to be around him every day.
So I kind of wanted to touch on all
What was that living room recruitment looking like?
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I've been working that one for 31 years. I thought I had an in with the mom, and it made it hard. But, she said he was going to have to make his own decision. So that's the way it worked out.
how do rules like that for the NCAA, like obviously you're eating dinner with him, there's dead periods and all that. There's granted rate waivers, but is there any weird rules like, hey, you can't do this, no official visits till then, blah, blah, blah?
With your
all the rules apply. I mean, everything is exactly like everything else, except I get to go home every night. So, we kind of had a little two-headed monster, recruiting him a little bit. It was kind of a no-brainer. He's an unbelievable student. Really proud of him.
Yeah, I heard he aced his ACT, which is incredible. So he would have gotten on his own, I'm sure, which is an amazing feat given it's Northwestern University. But moving forward, so we got the fun stuff, the icebreaker out of the way. Got to talk about that 3-9. What went down last year where it was like, holy shit, we just got, came from Big Ten championship, smoking Auburn on New Year's Day. What was the difference? Was it just transition year between the new defensive coordinator and Hank leaving, lack of being prepared? What was it?
It was probably a lack of support from you, but besides that,
still a season ticket holder.
Yeah, no, I know you didn't come. I pulled up the numbers on my phone. I saw you didn't attend. Actually sold them on to a third party, but that's all right. We'll leave that one alone. Just a fair weather guy. You only show up in the even year, so it'll be great to welcome you back to Ryan Field this year. No, I mean, you were there. You're a part of it. I mean, we didn't play efficiently on offense, especially, from a consistency standpoint at quarterback. We had a little bit of injury issues in a couple places that you don't want to have them. It's not an excuse, it's just a reality. And, the next group of guys maybe didn't compete the way we wanted them to, and that's ultimately on us as coaches. Defensively, now we didn't tackle very well. I mean, to me, that was the biggest issue. The year before we had 11 guys get an opportunity to go to the NFL. We had a lot of, new starters. And I wish those guys had more time because you learn so much in your first year starting, and they gave everything they had. And, obviously it wasn't good enough. I thought we could have got to 6 or 7 wins. I think that probably at a certain point was our ceiling. And, not to get that was incredibly and bitterly disappointing. But the good news is we're undefeated again.
Exactly. And it's going to be a fun year. And I stay in touch with a few guys from the program that, years past, they're not there anymore. But from the sounds of it, it sounds like the attitude is, I don't want to say night and day because it's not like they didn't work hard last year or didn't care last year. It's like they know what they did wrong and they're working to improve it, and it's going to be a solid season. But you mentioned the quarterback consistency. The only consistency you guys have had since Clayton Thorson was Ramsey from the 2020 season. I mean, what was that, 8 total games or 9 total games, whatever it was, because of the pandemic. But what are you guys doing right now to kind of find that consistency with the quarterback position?
Yeah, like you said, competition. I mean, right now, kind of Ryan and Helinski and Brendan Sullivan have separated themselves. Those two guys have had really good camps. I think we can win with both guys at this point. I'm looking at my calendar here. We're going on to practice 13 tomorrow. Both guys have been really efficient. They've taken care of the ball really well. So I think we can win with both guys. And I said this to the media the other day. Last time I felt like we could win with, 2 quarterbacks, no matter who was in.
I read that.
We had Keen and Trevor. I felt really good. Now, those guys were maybe a little bit different in what their skill sets were, but I felt really good about those 2 guys.
Now, it looks like you had the rough year, as Dave said, but it hasn't impacted your recruiting at all. Right now, you have the 3rd-ranked class in the Big Ten. I know you probably don't care about the rankings too much, but you're getting a lot of bodies in there. How have you been able to adjust to this kind of feels like we're in a Wild West era with NIL and transfer portals and all that. So what have you changed personally from the way that you recruit and get guys in this new circumstance?
Yeah, I haven't really changed a lot at all, frankly. Just trying to, it can be genuine, be authentic, build real relationships with guys, not, nonsense that some other coaches tell these kids all the things they want to hear, then they get into the program, and that's not the way it is. We're kind of the other way around. It's just being really transparent, really open, really honest. This is who we are. This is how we do things. Get around our program as much as you can. Get to know our players, and that's your best recruiters always are your players. And the credit really goes to them and the assistant coaches and our recruiting staff. But now we got to win games and hold on to those guys, right? I mean, that's ultimately the next step. But really fired up about the group we have, and the talent we have in our locker room and adding a great class, I think the future is incredibly bright. I'm really fired up about it.
Now, you said earlier that you got to a point where you're looking at the team last year where you thought your ceiling would be 6 or 7 wins. Is there a point in camp where you're like, oh boy, we got it? Like, if you're looking back over years, do certain camps feel different when you think you have a team that can win the Big Ten West? Can you tell right away?
Attitude-wise, attitude jumps out typically. If you have competitive depth, it's really important because you're going to have injuries, you're going to have adversity, and are you going to be able to continue to sustain a high level of play? Maybe when you get a couple guys dinged up and aren't able to play. So that's typically kind of some of the hallmarks. But usually by the end of September, you got a pretty good idea. You've been to 3 or 4 games. Again, you see how the team handles everything. Wins, maybe you end up on the short end of one of those early games, and how we handle it the next week. You got a pretty good DNA after about a month.
Now we opened the show with this kind of by accident, but we were talking about football and conditioning. Is there a drill that you as a coach were like, oh, I'm going to get in their ass today? Like, this is my favorite way. Like I talked about, I used to have a coach who would, I think most teams did, a guy who would stand on the sled and you're the wagon driver and we're the horsepower. Is there something that you're like, this one's for me? Like I love doing this drill.
Yeah, no. I haven't done anything since Prince was cool in the 90s when it comes to football, so I'm going to leave that alone. It's all about the guys right now. But yeah, no, we condition a couple times a week, and I'm kind of a little bit of I don't tell them when we're going to condition. It could be coming right at a stretch, it could be at the end, it could be going in, and I'm kind of a little bit of a psycho about it. I'm like, let's go for a little jog. They're like,
that's mental warfare right there.
We absolutely hate you.
Well, that's how you get them ready for Camp Randall. You get ready for that in August.
You got to put it in the bank for the fourth quarter. I mean, we won more games over, I think in my time, Paul Kennedy was telling me we won more games, one-score games than anywhere else in the country. So, we play close games. It's going to go down to the wire. And, usually you fall back on your training. You fall back, especially on your conditioning. And we've prided ourselves on being the best conditioned team in the country.
Now, I want to get back to the NIL stuff in a few minutes. But on that note, you guys have made, like you said, you've won more since you've been the head coach. You've won more one-score games than anybody else in the country, and that has been kind of the hallmark of Northwestern. Awesome defense, especially, I know he's not there anymore, when in the Coach Hank years. One-score games, ball control offense. Has there been any, and with Coach Bajakian, and now it's a similar style to when McCall was here, but is there any, like in any given game when the offense is just not humming the way that you envision it to, where you're like, I got to start opening it up more and play like that air raid, maybe not ball control, maybe score in 3-4 plays instead of 10 or 11?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, we'd love to have explosive plays and score in 2 or 3. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that's, we start doing analytics on things. Explosive plays are key, to scoring touchdowns and drives. There's no doubt that we would love to do that a lot more. But you're right. We've been really good on defense, and that's, you gotta, it's not about yards and points. It's about winning games. And, you just got to understand who you typically are, who you are with that team. Mm-hmm. We've just, for whatever reason, been a little bit better at times maybe, but there's been other years where our offense has totally carried us where, we've given up too many explosive plays or not tackled well. Kind of want to have that, kind of hand in glove. You want to be able to have it be complementary and work well together, and then you got to adjust when it's not working.
And on that note, the Coach Hank ran a 4-3, and a lot of times it was very base 4-3, not a lot of exotic blitzes or moving guys around. It's like, hey, here's our set, try and beat it. And most of the time, other teams didn't beat it. Why the switch to the 3-4 or 4-2-5 and instead of just it's not broken, don't fix it type thing,
Yeah, I would say if you look at our numbers, they're pretty similar last year as far as overall 4-3 and different sub packages to what we'd been in the previous years with Hank. We just didn't have success, and so people like you overanalyze things, and we got to deal.
That's not just football; it's everything.
I got to deal with BS questions that like thanks, Master of Obvious, but that's okay. It's a world I live in and I get paid to be in. But no, in all seriousness, no, the numbers are pretty close. I mean, there's maybe a couple of terminology changes and a couple of little wrinkles here or there, but defense is pretty simple, man. You got to execute. You got to play with great effort, and you got to understand and know where your help is. And lastly, you got to tackle. And, last year at times that to me was our biggest issue, our poor tackling. And that's something that we work on. We worked on last year relentlessly, and we'll continue to work on it, and just trying to find ways to get guys confident. So I think we're in a much better place today than we were a year ago at this time.
Yeah. Now, Coach, when I look at you and I think about you, you're Mr. Big Ten. You've been there a long time. You're one of the longest tenured guys. You obviously played in the league. How does it make you feel when you watch all the craziness that's gone down this offseason, where now something that you circled as like, man, I hope we get to the Rose Bowl, now that's a conference game? How does that sit with you as a guy who played in the Big Ten, bleeds Big Ten Midwest football? What does this landscape mean to you, these changes?
Well, it's an interesting time. There's no doubt. I mean, I think the word for today is change. I mean, that's what's going on with college football. Somebody's got to take charge of this thing, right? I mean, to me right now, that's what's missing. We have 5 great commissioners of the Power 5 conferences, and the other conferences, the Group of 5, have great commissioners, but we don't have one governing body. And I know the NCAA, their focus is basketball, and I get why and all that, and they make control championships and maybe recruiting rules and things of that nature. But, I think for this thing to kind of come together, we need to have somebody in charge, and decisions need to be made. And then we got to get rid of this chaotic period. I thought I saw Commissioner Warren say we're probably in year 2 of a 5-year chaotic period. Then that's good. I can't wait till year 5 when this whole thing settles down. Now, the day-to-day doesn't really impact us, with the players. It impacts you in recruiting. It impacts you in scheduling. It impacts, a lot of things when it comes to when you're looking at down the road, trying to set your schedule. And like right now we have UCLA on our schedule. Well, it's going to become a conference game. So now we got to add a non-conference game. So, there's a lot of those little nuances and wrinkles. I think I've been pretty outspoken saying whatever's better for players, I put 2 hands up and I'm all for it. But it's got to be great for all athletes, not just football and basketball. I'm a little concerned about that model right now. I don't know, the unknown to me is what scares me. Again, football and basketball will be fine. But that's a small percentage of overall student athletes. And so I just want to make sure we're looking at this at a macro level. Back when I was playing, we didn't have NIL deals because there wasn't a lot of money in the TV contracts.
You would have cleaned up.
Yeah, it would have been a good deal. Yeah.
You would have cleaned up.
Complete ride in the South Side.
Yeah. Right.
But, at any rate, all the NIL, it's all great for players. It's all great. The third parties that are trying to get involved in the game, you can masquerade it all you want that you're trying to help these players. They're not. They're in it to get money.
Yep.
They see the pot of gold called the TV contracts, and anything else is baloney. As someone who's played, I didn't need someone to be a go-between me and my coaches. I needed to grow up, be a man, and all this other stuff. Should players have a voice? Absolutely. Should players be listened to? Absolutely. Should there be collective conversations? No doubt. All those things are all healthy. They're all good. We do that here in our program. We have a leadership program. Are we perfect? No. Do you guys still not like things? Yeah. Well, guess what? That's life. Yeah. Right. So you got to learn how to work with things. You got to learn how to grow up. You got to learn how to advocate for yourself. But I would say this: the game has never been stronger in between the lines, and probably never more chaotic outside of it. But I think the players are having a blast, and to me, that's ultimately what it's all about. It's the players having a great time, a great experience, and our fans enjoying watching those guys compete.
Well, I'm glad it's from your perspective, it's good for the players, and the game has never had better athletes and things like that. I hate it. I hate the realignment. I want November 1st, cold, gray skies, Northwestern, maybe Iowa punts from their own, from the other team's 33. Like, that's what I want from Big Ten football. And I feel like if everybody's in a conference, like, conferences don't have an identity. It's not like, hey, like, we're Big Ten football. And that to me, like, that should mean
special,
something.
for sure.
And that adds. Yeah. So it's not good. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good for the game. When overall it might have, like, it almost feels like short-term thinking to me. So I wanted your take on that. But yeah, I want the players to be compensated or taken care of in a way where kids aren't going hungry, like all the horror stories you hear. But sometimes I think it's, everyone here is too big to fail. I think it might be so big it has to fail. So I really hope that.
Again, where are we going? Are we going to be Power 2 conferences? Is it Power 5? Like to me, we're just kind of spinning our wheels until all those decisions are made, and then you can start to really, create a path forward. Again, I'm looking out at our field hockey field that just won the national championship. Like, I think about those women, right? I think about that team and all these discussions we've had this summer. You haven't heard about it. It's this.
It's all football.
It's all the almighty dollar.
Yeah.
And on that note, you have to adapt or die. Like you read all these articles about Texas Tech and Tennessee, and I just saw SMU. Like, each player, you could be the last walk-on the squad. He's getting paid, I think it was $36,000 per year, and that's just base. How are you guys adapting to that?
Yeah, well, we have, we just hired a general manager to oversee the NIL for our guys, so that's awesome. We're going to have somebody in-house, and then I think some assistants that are going to help them. Like I told our guys, man, hey, as long as it doesn't distract you from school, what's important to you with football and what's important beyond that, go do it, man. But it's a job, right? If you're going to put, Instagram posts out or Twitter posts or autographs or camps or whatever it may be, you got to make sure you manage that the right way. And then the collective piece, which is obviously new, we'll have one before too long, but we're going to do it our way, similar to what maybe some other schools have done. And we're, right now, inducing players to transfer or to come as a recruit is still against the NCAA rules. So we're not going to do that. It just is what it is. It's great. I mean, it was funny. I sat on national boards and we talked to folks that were the powers that be, and we're like, name, image, likeness. That's great. If you put guardrails around it, it'll be awesome for the guys. If you don't, you're going to have SMU of the 80s with the Pony Express. And guess where we are? Not even a year into, or a little over a year into it. That's right where it went. So history has a tendency to repeat itself, and we'll work through it. I haven't seen any major issues. Again, we try to do a huge, from a opportunity standpoint, but then, hey, here's what the taxes are. Here's what you have to understand. Like, for every dollar, you got to keep 30 cents, and all those things that I think are really important as guys are trying to leverage, their name, image, and likeness.
Now, the other big bit of Northwestern news since the last time we talked, I can't remember exactly when it became official. You guys are getting a new stadium. So I've seen some renderings. It looks sweet. I have one very important question for you, though.
Wait, you've seen renderings? Because
I feel like I've seen them. Maybe you sent them to me.
I haven't seen any renderings.
All right, so it has been announced, though. It's been announced, or like dimensions. Like, we're going to have a capacity, whatever.
I heard 35,000 or something.
My question for you is, are you going to have grass? Are you going to keep the grass? I want grass.
Yeah, I doubt it. I'd love to have the opportunity to host high school football games.
Okay.
I'd love to have the opportunity for other sports to host. Is it Coach Monte Hiller and the lacrosse team hosted national championship games there? You know what I mean? I think that would be awesome. Love to talk to the IHSA, maybe potentially having the state championships in Evanston like they used to be back in the day. I think there's some great opportunity for us to use, Ryan Field in ways that give back to the community. And it's tough to do that with grass.
That is a good point. I didn't think of that.
I see that with Soldier Field.
Yeah, I was down there for Chesney. I'm not sure we were really nice to the grass.
I was going to ask you that. So I think this was back in 2017. I was at the Kenny Chesney concert. My buddy was like the 10th caller on B96 or whatever it was, and he invited me that morning. And I saw you, and I drunkenly stumbled up to you, and we both sang the fight song together. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. You were really drunk.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
We snuck down to that section.
Yeah.
Fight,
It was a little Harry Carey. Holy. You're a little Harry Carey-esque. It was good.
That was not one of my finer moments, but yeah.
Anything
So
what happened that night for you?
I'm sorry.
Did anything negative happen that night?
Oh no. I mean, I woke up the next morning. I'm like, I just embarrassed myself in front of Coach Fitz, who, I'm the biggest Coach Fitz fan on earth. So,
well, you're not the first guy to do that. I'm telling you, you're getting in line behind me, so don't worry about that. Every once in a while, some of those concerts bring out the best in us. So,
yeah, it's Kenny Chesney in the middle of July in Soldier Field. How are you supposed to not, overdo it? Just a touch,
man. About as good as it gets,
right? I guess the last question I got for you, unless Ryan's got anything, is this comes directly from a former player and now a GA of yours by the name of Riley Lease. You are aware of Riley Lease, right?
Yeah, he makes good coffee here. He's doing
yeah, exactly. He's just the little errand boy now. He wants to know why you never let him play quarterback at Northwestern University.
I'd pop on his huddle tape and take a look at him from high school, and you would know exactly.
I loved his huddle tape.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why you're sitting where you are and he's sitting where he is.
Oh, he was a freak. He was only a little 2-star.
And then we had him throw some balls in practice, and it was like, wow, we made the right decision putting this dude at wideout because he stinks.
Not even like a little trick play here and there. Actually, he did throw a couple. That's
what we would do. Like, hey, you play quarterback. Riley's like, I did. We're like, we know. Here, we'll give you the trick play. He throws the ball. It's like, wah, wah, wah. You know what I mean? It's just, I got made fun of by Teddy Greenside for not running trick plays. Well, you got to have dudes that can run trick plays, Teddy. You know what I mean? Like, you make fun of me all you want, but we try to run them. They get picked off. We fumble them. So I'd rather get 3 or 4 yards. So Teddy's my guy. But, it's Riley was a unbelievable college receiver.
He was great. Tough as nails, man.
Yeah, unbelievable. Average at best high school quarterback. I mean,
he could run like
I don't know why they ever threw the ball with him. They would have ran it. They probably would have won a state championship.
Can't believe they didn't with him at quarterback. But, Coach, we'll let you go. Good luck in Ireland. When do you guys leave?
The Tuesday that game week. So we'll land Wednesday morning, and we start game week next week. Man, it's crazy how fast this is. So fired up for it, man. I can't wait.
I wish I was going. I should have pulled the trigger, but I always lame out last second until the game starts. Like the Field of Dreams game last summer, I was like, I should have just dropped all the money and went.
Yeah. But all right, you're getting a dub in Dublin. How we're starting the year.
Enjoy a pint of Guinness for us.
We got a T-shirt right there. That's a merch idea right there.
Hey, we'll put
Cam
Cam Porter's name on that. How's he looking, by the way? Is he gonna absolutely dominate Big Ten football this year?
It's great to have him back, man. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
it's great to have him back.
He's a horse.
Yeah.
I saw pictures of him.
I like the beef kit in front of you guys. It's very, very, very appropriate.
We'll send one up to you.
Yep.
But, Coach, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck this year.
You guys are the best, man. Come see us, all right? Go Cats.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon. We'll be there first home game.
All right, cheers. See you guys.
All right, later, Coach.
So that's Coach Fitz. Good stuff, guys.
Coach Fitz is the absolute best.
He's the man. He's like just a guy's guy, like such a Chicago guy, like a guy you want to crack one of those Miller Lights with. He's the best.
I have to now officially just lean into the bit that I refuse to spend time with him. That's not I was talking to somebody else, or we just scheduling stuff. I wanted to talk to Coach Fitz, but honestly, it's just, I think that's the
scheduling
fifth
issues.
time and I'm just not available.
It happens.
Sorry,
though,
Coach.
but you did the Northwestern baseball content last fall. That was almost a year ago. To this day, that's the most sore I've ever been in my entire life. And I'm not hyperbolizing or embellishing that at all. When we went to Northwestern, I took maybe 50 hacks in the cage and threw maybe 50 pitches. It was the most sore I've ever been in my life the next 3 days. I could not move.
Some of the most fun stuff we get to do on the job is that silly ass. I wonder what Dave's spin rate is. Let's go find out what
that
Dave's
video got 500,000
rate.
fucking views.
Spider tack one.
Yeah.
Does it give you sincerely any sense of maybe you're onto something, Dave?
But that was I don't want to call it a throwaway video. It's just that they happen to be close. They happen to have all the equipment. We are on a personal friendship level with the coaching staff and a few of the players and everything. It was easy. We show up, we do it in, hour and a half, whatever we were there for, and boom, most viewed video ever, I'm pretty sure, of ours.
Yeah, I think you're right, by far.
Far the most viewed YouTube thing we've ever published.
And it's
5 times bigger than the time we did a draft with Dave Portnoy about Barstool.
That's the point. I was like, it wasn't some grandiose production or anything, which, I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason to the internet, but I love the Northwestern athletic program. Aside from being a fan, the access that they give us and just being cool with us, I love that about them. So.
Yeah, that is cool. And I have the same feelings with Illinois when we do stuff where you're like, man, because I do remember times, right? It's not even too long ago where I'm going down to Illinois for a super regional and the SID, the sports information director, reached out and was like, hey, Mike, you probably want to come down for Barstool. We'd like to give you a media pass. And I went down with my dad. And I was nervous. I was so nervous. Dude, it's Illinois baseball. No, who cares? It's my coach.
Yeah.
I'm in the media room. And I was like, this is because like I don't want to fuck it up, or I don't want
Right.
to have a bad moment that sets me back. I want to have a good experience that moves me forward, that makes me want to do more of that stuff. And that wasn't too long ago, and
like,
we're
you know,
lucky.
Yeah, we are. We get to do a lot of weird, random, cool shit. And that thing with you, it's like you probably felt pressure on both levels where it's like, I don't want to embarrass Barstool. I also don't want to embarrass the Illinois baseball program. Those are like both of your worlds. So that actually makes some sense to me. But yeah, it's been a good run. It's been a good run here. We've done some cool shit lately.
So I'm gonna
He invited us up there. You want to go do football drills?
I would
with
love
Coach
to
Fitz?
go do football drills with you, Coach Fitz. I just have to check my schedule.
He was
first.
pressed for time. I wanted to ask him about how I ran over Chief in the Oklahoma
He wasn't
drills
there,
last year.
and it wasn't an
I know.
Oklahoma drill.
It kind of was.
Nah, it wasn't.
It was tackling drills.
It was set up for you to succeed. Low man wins. If they showed,
I have
like-
20 minutes if you want to argue about whether.
Yeah,
or not
I
it's
mean
a
that was
drill.
2019. Can I tell you like truthfully what's going on with my body though? So you would dominate me now. Like that day that I went to play basketball with Lance, I was like, I am not really in control of where my feet are going. Like I felt like early 30s, which is when we would have done that video. I think I was like 33 to what I am now. I have fallen off a cliff, and I don't think it's just about like weight gain. I think like I could drop 20 pounds and I still wouldn't be able to move.
I swear to God, I have had the exact same feelings for a handful. Like, if we were to do like the ladder drills, the flat yellow ladders,
the foot speed drill.
the foot speed drills, I could have done those in my sleep growing up. My coordination has just plummeted.
Bad.
What about Air Force Ones
Bad.
though? If you took off the Air Force Ones, you think you'd do?
No, I'm saying like
Yeah, I know.
just coordination, because we don't fucking do anything that requires coordination ever, you know?
But I do think, you know, like I've been away from doing athletic things consistently for a long time. I will say that 3-4 years ago, I would just run out there and be able to do it a lot better than I can right now. Like it's that thing where
I've had
it's-
the same realization.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I feel like an athlete who's, you know, like a pro athlete who's just like, I just can't do it anymore. Like I'm like the epitome of an amateur athlete, and I can't do fucking anything.
Not to pile on, but Sasha Stefanovic was in last week, and we got the basketball out. We were like, oh yeah, let me see you do the spider drill. Or I was just like teasing around. We had this Mountain Dew
It's
basketball.
like it's actually a good basketball.
It is
though.
nice.
It's a nice
ball, yeah.
basketball.
It'd be
It's
like
just
a great
funny, like
outdoor
all the
ball.
stuff we've gotten, somehow that thing has survived, and it's still here, and it's not going anywhere. So we like throw the, and that was the first time I've dribbled a basketball probably since we shot a basketball at Northwestern, like when we were just talking about the spider tank video. If you want to just like a little check, you're listening to this, you're trying to figure out like, I wonder if I'm losing my skills too. You know, I'm getting older. I'm in my later tools. Like wherever you're at, a great checkpoint to see where your athletic condition or ability is. Go dribble a basketball. Go see if you can dribble it in your legs, like, or whatever your threshold was when you were a young kid. I couldn't bounce that thing to save my fucking life. I felt
I know exactly what you're
incompetent.
talking about. Yep.
I will say that Chicklets Cup, I did have my best performance of my Barstool hockey
do
career.
tell.
So no, I mean that I'm excited
It
for
looked
the
like
video.
it was better playing conditions.
It's
from
got to be
what I
tough.
saw.
You played well, and none of us can ask you about it. So you're like, I want to talk about it, but no one's asking.
Ask Scott if it was better.
Scott told me you stunk.
Scott was our worst player by like a mile.
He said he stunk too, but he said you were the worst.
He
player
just
on the team.
tries to drag everyone else down. That he was the worst player. He was absolute. Scott Darling, in that format with that ice or concrete, whatever, was the worst hockey player I've
Little
ever
different.
seen.
Was he getting in front of it by trashing you to Dave then?
Yeah, he always tries to do
I'm
that.
joking. He didn't say that.
Oh well, I'm saying
just
it
wanted
because
to-
it is true. That's on tape.
That's kind of a
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to ruffle feathers though, and I got the rise that I wanted out of Chief. But Scott did say that he was horrific. He did say that.
Embarrassing.
And he's got
Pro
his name
athlete.
on the Stanley Cup.
Sure does.
I want to take a second here though, to thank our friends at Innovative Care. And if you take ADHD medication and you're trying to get a better process of getting the medication filled, I cannot recommend innovativeadd.com enough.
They're based here in Chicago.
That is true.
Yes.
And as Chicago guys, we like Chicago-based companies. We're
Yeah.
not sending you off to some unknown place where we don't like or trust these
Right.
people. These are Chicago people we know and trust.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a real clinic. So you're going to go there the first time, meet with a doctor, get all that approved, check all the boxes, and then after that, you don't need the extra doctor visit. So that's kind of the idea. So you go there, you get it done the first time, and then they manage, and you can manage your ADHD prescriptions with them. So it's telemedicine. It's going to save you time. Get online, get your medication refill, and just get back to your life. Don't worry about scheduling extra appointments. Nobody likes going to the doctor. You got to do it the first time. After that, you should be good. And, this is finally, it's an ADHD care with dignity and compassion. So that's what we want to direct you guys to. We want you to check out innovativeadd.com to sign up. You do have to be a resident of Illinois. They do take insurance. So a lot of places, don't do that. So make sure you're checking out innovativeadd.com.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good people. So I got to keep focus here because we're at the point in the show where
and the season.
Yeah, man, it's tough. And I just a long week, run around shows left and right. And in the week, the news comes out that Jason Heyward's done with the Cubs. And it's weird timing. I think I just want to get this out because I know this is a big story at the Cubs. The Cubs are 21 games under 500. They had Star Wars night the other night. I went because I like Star Wars, and it was abysmal. They didn't have one piece of programming. They played the Imperial Death March, and they cut to Jim Belushi, who's a good friend, good friend of the program, funny guy. That was a funny interview. Whoa, an eagle.
Yeah.
He was nothing to do with Star Wars. That was it. It was just like, here's Jim Belushi sitting here drinking a beer.
They didn't have Leonard Nimoy or anything?
No, they have Star Trek, and don't do that to me. I know what you're doing.
Honestly,
and I respect you for it. How about that? That's a good move.
That wasn't a move.
That was a genuine mistake.
That was a genuine mistake. I never watched either. I just thought Leonard Nimoy was the Star Wars guy.
Nah, definitely Star Trek. But continue. So you're just done.
And the Star Wars thing is just a small example that you can extrapolate across the entire season, where it's like, I went in, they market it. I got an email from the Cubs. I was like, just so you know, you can still get tickets to Star Wars night. And the graphic popped, and I still open those emails, and I click, and I'm like, oh, gee whiz, look at these ticket prices. And so I buy tickets in my favorite row. I tell Mrs. Carl we're going. I keep score. I'm very excited, and it was just a complete letdown. And not that I'm like holding my season, my season happiness on the strength of their promotional Star Wars night. It's just one of those things where it'd be nice if this was done well. It's not done well. They don't care. You get some bobbleheads, and that's just where we're at as a team. I don't get it. I have no idea why they announced Jason Heyward's not coming back next year the time they did.
Does he have a year left?
Yeah.
Why? It feels like he's been here since, he overlapped with Derek Lee. That's how it feels in my head.
Yeah, he has been here a while, although it is just 2016, but he was so dominant with the Cardinals in 2015.
Yeah.
So I've talked a lot about Jason Heyward over the 7 years he's been here. I've said a lot of things. There are very easy things to say about Jason Heyward. So if you want to, I will now take a brief moment for the audience to just all the stuff I could say in a half hour. So just give me 5 seconds. Okay, there I said it.
Those days are done. So that's behind you. You don't want to kick a dead body. You don't need to.
I will say this. How good of a person do you have to be to hit 245 over 7 years with 60 home runs, 289 RBIs, how good of a person do you have to be to play like that under that contract, and nobody has a bad word to say about you?
On the way out the door. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think a lot of it is
nice guy.
Did win a World Series with him. I know he didn't pan out, but that's why not let him announce it? Why do the Cubs have to announce it right now? That's just awkward. And
it's his birthday week. Done for the year.
I mean, obviously
he's with family.
I would assume and I would hope he didn't find out via social media, which often does happen.
It sounded like him and Jed had been talking.
Yeah, of course. So I'm sure there was candid and very open dialogue between the two parties. And Hayward, I'm sure, agreed. He knows he's been bad over his tenure with the Cubs, but I don't know. I
still a great player in his career. I think he still has it's not his fault somebody gave me $184 million or any of that stuff. But it is hard as a fan because you know, a lot of times as fans we do, we're at 30,000 feet thinking about the team and the strategy. We are in the front office. That is where our conversations live. Our conversations don't live as did you see that play last night? That was amazing. Remember this play last night? We put ourselves in the room and oh, well, this is what they can do. And for years, a lot of times you talk and think about the Cubs you come back to, like, well, we got Heyward, and we got, if he comes for years, 5 seasons in a row, my season prediction on the offense would be like, depends. Like, if you get the Jason Heyward that's there, you're talking about like a much improved lineup. And if you get the one that isn't there, 5 years. So
yeah, he was a black hole in that lineup for a long time.
I mean,
so
I'll
right
never
field,
forget his fucking first career at bat.
What do you do, Dave?
bomb.
Absolutely shit on a ball down the right field line of Turner Field off Carlos Zambrano. And that was because he came up and ascended with Bryce Harper.
He came up at 19, right?
20. I'm looking at his stats now.
Yeah,
He's 20
20.
years old.
Number 1 prospect in 2010.
Everybody
drafted
was talking
20.
about Bryce Harper, and then the Atlanta Braves are like, wait a minute, we got this guy. And his first few games is like, holy shit, they do got that guy. Now, obviously never panned out like they thought it would.
It's crazy that he's still only 33.
Age. Did he just turn 33?
Yeah.
Yeah, watch him go.
Oh
hit.
yeah,
Watch him go hit 30
yesterday was
bombs
his
from
birthday.
Milwaukee next year.
Yesterday was his birthday.
Happy birthday, Jason.
Yeah, the fact that he is almost a year younger than me kind of freaks me out because it seems like he's been in the league since Jason Heyward and beyond Starlin Castro and all those years.
Oh
but
God,
I shouldn't have brought that name up.
That's a
hate
trigger.
watch-
That's a trigger word for me.
He is the worst baseball player I've ever seen in my entire life.
I think early when we started doing this job together, it was something we like. In my heart of hearts, I do think that I earned respect from you as a baseball guy with how much I hated Starlin
I
Castro.
fucking cannot stand watching him play baseball. Just as a baseball fan, he does all the little things just so poorly. Bad base running, mental errors at shortstop, all that shit. Tooled up and twitchy and all that stuff. We love those words. Bad baseball player.
He's out of baseball now?
I think he's still with the Marlins. He was pacing out for
He did
3,000.
the last 2 years he did with the Nationals. Now it's showing that he didn't do anything. So,
Yeah, he's probably out of baseball.
yeah.
He's probably playing with Addison Russell.
Could you do me a
remember-
favor and look at his Wikipedia and see if there's something that's happened in the last 2 years? I'm gonna pivot back to Hayward. Just tell his quick story. I don't know the entire details. I remember reading the story about 10 years ago about Jason Hayward getting drafted by the Braves. And the story goes, I'm interested if you have the story, if you've heard the story, please send it to me. The Braves hid the fact that they were scouting Jason Hayward and wanted to draft him in the first round, going back to him being like 11 years old, where they found him. And then when scouts would say like, oh, who are the players? Like, all right, so Chief, you're a scout for the Padres. Dave, you're a scout for the Braves. And the Padres guy is like making his rounds and he's like, hey, I'm going to be down in the Southeast. Like, what's your schedule? It's close. Who are you looking at? And they would go and they would see the players. And it was Braves protocol not to talk about Jason Hayward. Like, don't proactively tell another scout like that you like this kid. Furthermore, should a scout ask you, hey, what's up with the 22 kid right field or whatever? Don't, because he played in East Cobb, so he had been seen. But the Braves were like, yo, we're in this kid's backyard every day. He's not what you think he is. And they had like intentionally manipulated Jason Hayward's draft, and then they drafted him 14th overall. In like the story is, nobody saw it coming in the National League, and people got really mad at the Braves guy.
I think that's
we don't
gamesmanship.
give a fuck.
Yeah.
We
Fuck
got our
you.
guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I remember
let me tell you
hearing
how
that.
good this kid is. Like, what the fuck? Why would anybody do that?
I wish I could get him on right now, but a buddy of mine, you met him at Dan Wisher's a few weeks back. He was Gatorade Player of the Year in Illinois. He was a year younger than me in high school, all-world athlete. And he played against the East Cobb Astros in baseball. My buddy, who I'm talking about, Jordan Tassi, who's probably listening, could absolutely fucking fly. Like, fucking fly. I'm 6'5", 60, I'm guessing something like that. And he got hosed out in right field by Jason Heyward. He's like, that's like, I could see the ball coming and hear it out of the corner of my eye. And I was like, what the fuck was that? He's like, that's the best throw I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm probably butchering small details. It might have been a double at second base and he got thrown out, which never happened. It might have been at home plate, whatever. But he's like, that was the guy that every one of us was like, and this is East Cobb Astros, a national level team. Every kid on the team's going Division I at worst or getting drafted. And he's like, that's the guy that stood out. So
it's cool. And like in the middle of a play when you realize like, holy shit, this guy's legit. There was a kid from St. Rita who got drafted in the 7th round and we were playing summer ball. He was a catcher, but it was summer ball. So he was playing short and I hit a ball in the hole. And I'm not like fast by measures. I'm an above average runner, like at the time. Right.
Yeah.
And I remember running on the baseline, looking left, and finishing running down the bag, being like, holy fuck, he's making this play on me right now, and he's deep in the hole, and he fucking airs me out, and I get the first bit, and I the umpire rings you up, and just that sense of hopelessness when you see it in that real time, you're like, oh, I'm not that good. Oh, that's how good you are at this game. Like, ooh, I should probably I should go buy some baseball cards or start a business or something. I'm wasting time here.
Okay, update you guys on Castro.
Where's he at? Did you go to his baseball reference page?
You wouldn't be able to find it on the baseball reference page, but earlier this summer he signed with Leones de Yucatan of the Mexican League.
I just said he's probably playing in Mexico with Addison Russell, and that was a joke.
Well, he's hitting 240.
Oh boy,
slugging 323.
I bet you his BMI's like 23%.
Yohan Moncada is slugging higher than Starlin Castro in the Mexican League.
That's brutal.
He does have a bomb. So I remember thinking, I know like all awards for Castro, but there was a moment in his career where you were like, he's a lock for 3,000 hits.
That's what I'm saying. He was pacing for 3,000 hits.
Yeah. I'm looking at a couple 200 hit seasons.
I'm looking at his Fangraphs page right now. He's got 200 hit season, but it was like 180, 190 plus for a handful of years in a row, and then just fucking nothing.
Man, I'm glad you guys said that name, because it's good to reflect upon where as I'm sitting there, be like, it's just as bad as it's ever been, and then it's like, no, I got years where he was the only thing that captivated you, and while watching it, I'm like, this guy's just like Jeff George. That's it, perfect example. It's just like Jeff George is throwing picks, just throwing deep picks and taking sacks, and then people being like, yeah, but have you seen his arm?
Yeah, he can throw it 80, 90 yards.
Fuck
flat.
He did have a fucking cannon, though. He had a cannon.
They say one of the best arms in NFL history.
No, the best arm.
Yeah.
The most jaw-dropping.
Him and Marino, I think.
Yes. But Marino had the release or something where Marino could just get it out so
and
quick.
The accuracy and the brain, where Jeff George is like Michael Vick, where he's like, I'm not watching.
He was like me at a speed pitch. Yeah. Don't think, just throw it as hard as you possibly can.
I would actually like to get Jeff George on the show. He's still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah. Wasn't his kid at U of I not that long ago?
Maybe. He wasn't at U of I, I don't think. I remember hearing something.
I'm almost positive.
Dude, Illinois had Jeff George and Tony Eason. What's up now? Talk some shit.
That was a golden era for them.
Mike White, the story is behind that in the 80s with Illinois, that they brought in a junior college coach from California. It's like one of my dad's he's like, they got to get back to the Mike White era. And this is what he means. They brought in a college coach from California who had paid no attention to recruiting roles and literally would go back to California and find 24-year-old guys that just still had eligibility. Maybe they spent some time in prison or they had just really bad dudes, and would be like, yeah, just you can play linebacker for Illinois. And so my dad was like, these guys are just they were the most undisciplined football team in the Big Ten, but they were just complete lunatics. That's the golden era.
Jeff George also has another son, Jaden, who originally committed to Alabama but transferred somewhere. So his prodigy is strong. That arm strength is apparently good enough for 2 Division I quarterbacks. The other son, I showed him at Michigan and at Pitt. I could have sworn he did a stint at Illinois, but I guess I'm wrong about that.
You got a big arm. What else is as cool as having a big arm?
I don't know if there's anything. A big arm is just because that's one of those things we're talking about, how our our bodies and our ability to do anything athletic is in decline. I feel like your arm holds out. If you got
a little bit,
you got a big arm and you're dicking around you got a a family vacation when you're 40 and you bring the football around with your boys and your sons, and you just say, hey, go deep, and you fucking sling it 60 yards on the beach. That still is whoa. That's still awesome. And I feel like there's just nothing.
I've lost my arm by about, I'd say, 10 to 15 yards. I got it. Lance, how far did I throw that football at Notre Dame?
50 yards.
On the dot, right?
On the dot.
I felt I don't want to say throwing it as far as I could, but there was a governor on my arm where I couldn't throw it any farther if I wanted to.
Hello, governor.
I don't know how to describe it, but
yeah. So
take that. Let's get that restrictor plate off. I have been thinking about. I'm not even joking. I've been thinking about getting plyo balls and seeing if that's worthwhile content of can I add 6 miles an hour this offseason? Does anybody give a fuck? Probably not.
If Driveline were in West Loop or Wicker Park or Lincoln Park or something, I would love to go through an entire winter, see if I could ramp it back up to 90,
Right?
like a legit 90,
Like
not the speed pitch 90.
Here comes spring, and White Sox Dave's got a true 93 in the tank with like.
I think I could get it up to consistently 85 again with a winner. Maybe.
That's just going to conclude our baseball talk for today. You want
No,
to?
we definitely are talking about White Sox.
Yeah, we have to
we
talk
are-
about the
we're not
White
getting
Sox.
on it.
This is coffee clutching until we talk about those dead dumpster fire.
So I do have a positive thing or something, not about the team, but the landscape. There's no races in MLB standings. I'm trying to think. Like the Braves might get. The Mets are a wagon. The Yankees are in complete control. The Astros, the Dodgers, the Padres are. And then right there in the center of the country, in the center of the standings, is a
Tallest midget
horse race of
mediocrity.
and a 3-horse race too. Again, last year the NL West was unique. It had a true big 3-horse race for the entire season. There's the game 163, I think, or like there's so much excitement around that, and it's just kind of funny. Like, oh, we have another 3-horse race. These are rare. These are rare this deep in the year, and it's like 350. 57 and 52.
I want Chief to confirm this for me. I could be incorrect here, but I remember being at game 1 of the 2005 postseason for the White Sox. It was against the Red Sox. They won 14-2, and that's actually why I quit football, is because I would have had to miss practice, actually.
No.
That's part of the reason, absolutely, yeah.
Did you know that?
Because it was
That would have been October. Your season would have been. You quit. You didn't quit in the middle of the season.
no, I didn't.
But the boys were getting ready for doubles, and you were like doubles. But
No, it was in the middle. I take it back. Then there was something. I had a conflict with football, and I had to go to. I wanted to be at some White Sox game. Fuck, I thought it was 8 or whatever. Anyways, I'm pretty sure the Padres made the playoffs that year and got swept, but they were under 500 and made the playoffs. I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure it's 2005. That's basically what we're looking at in the AL Central right now. The White Sox have been playing.
Padres finished 82 and 80.
Okay,
they
so
played the
all right,
Cardinals in the first
okay.
round and got their absolute shit pounded.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. I was close enough. Two game swing. That's what you're looking at the AL Central right now. None of these teams are good. The Twins are not good. The Guardians, I actually saved myself right there. The Guardians are not good. The White Sox are, on paper, individually should be good. It's not a good team right now.
But if they win the division, don't they get to pick the wild card team they play against?
I'm not completely up. It's something like that.
I didn't know the MLB playoff structure, and I sat down and looked at it because I was like, when do the playoffs start and what are they doing? So this is the first year they're doing it. I just learned it like 20 minutes ago, so I can't forget it now. There's 3 wild card teams.
Yep.
And 3 division winners, yes.
The top 2 teams bye. So the 1 and 2 teams
Yankees
go,
and Astros, yeah.
and then the remaining division winner gets to pick who they play
of the
3 wild card teams, I believe.
I wouldn't even want to. I wouldn't even want to pick if I were the White Sox because you're not good. You're just going to piss somebody off.
If I'm the White Sox and that is the case, and I have to familiarize with the new CBA and all that. I haven't done that yet. Bad
I'm on it right
journalism of me. If that's the case and they are doing that, I would say give me the fucking Yankees or the best of the 3 wild card teams. At that point, fuck it.
As of right now, it's the Blue Jays, Mariners, and Rays.
All right, so the Blue Jays.
I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong. I want it.
I know they talked about this though.
It's just 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. That's how it was before, I guess.
So you'd get the Rays.
So the Sox would be the 3 seed
cool
though.
About
If they get the Rays right now, that's the one team that scares me zero for the White Sox.
spin zone about the AL Central being so bad. I kind of miss we lost a division by a game, so we're out of the playoffs. That I feel like is going to be pretty rare going forward. It's a true pennant race because like if you don't win, you're not getting one of those wild cards.
No,
So-
they're definitely not. No, there's going to be one team out of the Central this year for sure. But it's bad. It's so disheartening because
What happened this past week? I'm sorry.
they cannot win the first game of a series, which is the weirdest thing, and they just don't play well at home. They got one of the best road records in baseball on the road, and one of the worst at home. Nothing that this organization does from a roster construction perspective to figuring out the bat boy to the marketing team. I got an email asking me to renew season tickets today. Bad timing. Ask me when the dust is settled from this abortion of his fucking season. Like, bad timing.
Bad.
Yeah,
timing.
but, you know.
And I was going to bring that up when you were talking. It's like, I understand that's not season ticket reps call or anything like that. Like, they're just doing their
you're in a
job.
system in
Yeah,
Salesforce
right.
or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the fact that somebody who oversees that is like, yeah, send that out today.
We got to renew. We got to ask them for more money. It's like, and I don't even know if I want to renew. It's not like a White Sox ticket's hard to come by. I don't need to drop the $1,000+
I would
on my
agree.
half
It's not like
season.
you can resell them either.
I
can't do that anymore. Last year, I was able to at least break even on my season tickets. I'm not reselling them because of our partnership with Game Time, which is fine. And they're just not people
Who
don't want.
would buy one?
I mean, I could get face for them all, which is all I care about.
But
just breaking
then
even.
it's just like a hassle to even. I don't know. It's like to me, it's like not
I've
even worth
eaten
it.
Yeah, that's
so
from
many
small
fucking tickets
business.
this year.
Yeah, that sucks.
Sucks.
But then it is sweet. I mean, having season tickets. Just saying
It's cool.
It's like, I got season tickets. Man, this guy's diehard. So I got I would say scoop enough to talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of in line with the marketing stuff. But Dylan Cease is very much in a spot where he could win the Cy Young. Right there, baby?
I got to sneeze. But
Yeah,
it's
let's
not
just
coming out.
lingering.
Yeah.
You guys keep going.
Do you need help? Well,
Top 5 worst feeling. We should draft those actually.
I do like bad feelings.
Into
a
go
yawn?
ahead though.
I'm struggling.
Face the wall.
That's what I was doing.
It's just overly
So
dramatic.
on the marketing-
So Dylan Cease might win the Cy Young, or he's like good enough. He's putting together a season where,
absolutely.
a couple weeks from now, you could be like, yeah, he's the Cy Young front runner. And I had heard from somebody that it's like, dude, it's surprising, right? Like, he was in an All-Star, and so I'm talking to someone who knows, and he was saying that there's a sense of the White Sox, they like don't even want to talk about Dylan Cease because he's going into arbitration, and there's like him not being an All-Star, there's like people in the organization like good.
Oh, I'm sure.
And that like when he wins the pitcher of the
100%.
month, it's like, all right, send out a tweet, but we don't need to be doing campaigns and shit. Where like the Cubs, I mean, one guy has one good game for the Chicago Cubs, and it's just
They
like
had a Nick Madrigal bobblehead day. Are
telling
you
you, man.
fucking kidding me?
it's so bad. And they're so different. And it's like you guys have literally one of the most dominant players in baseball, and the White Sox are like, don't tell anybody. We don't want to pay.
I
this
mean,
guy.
I don't know if that's true or not, but it's baseball, so it would shock me none. That's all they do is try to suppress player salaries constantly. It's gone on like that since Larry Doby, formed the players union.
Yeah, I shouldn't say it. I'm not reporting that. It's just conjecture, and we're just joking around.
I mean,
so
that would shock me none. I mean, that's an extra few $100,000 that the White Sox saved in Dylan Cease not being an All-Star this year. So why would they? Why would they want him to go to the All-Star game? They don't get anything out of it really. But I do know that Dylan Cease has turned down one of the standard White Sox pre-arb raises. This is actually before he even stepped foot on a major league field as well. He would have broke spring training with the big league team had he signed that deal, but he didn't. And Chief went to the game and clapped when he struck out. That's kind of weird, but it is what it is. I mean, this is my thing. So money is the biggest issue with the White Sox right now, I would say, because they are strapped for cash. They cannot make the moves necessary to build a complete team. And part of that reason is because Yasmani Grandal, he's been fucking horrible this year. Yoel Moncada's been fucking horrible this year. Those are two guys they were relying on to pound right-handed pitching, which they struggle mightily with. They cannot hit a right-handed pitcher to save their life. Ironically enough, the guy that probably will win the Cy Young, Justin Verlander, they absolutely fucking shit on him this year, and he's the best right-handed pitcher of the last 20 years. First ballot Hall of Famer. But my whole issue with these pre-arbitration extensions is as an organization, when you offer these deals and the player accepts them, everybody always says that is a player-friendly deal. They said it with Chris Sale. They said it with Jose Quintana, Adam Eaton, Tim Anderson of the current team. It's not. It is always a team-friendly deal. You have these guys controlled for at least 6 years. A lot of them are Super 2 and they go into 7th years with 4 years of arbitration. The team is the one gambling on that you're going to be the superstar that you were when they offered you that deal. So Yoan Moncada is not that. He starts making $25 million next year. They're on the hook for that. And same next year, I think 22 and a half and then 25, something like that, whatever it is. If those guys don't pan out like you think they're going to when they sign that deal, you got to come back with cash ready to go and not use money as an excuse to when these guys underperform. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. You guys took a gamble. As it sits right now, I think Grandal's done. Like, he's old and he's done after next year, whatever. It doesn't matter. Moncada's got a long time left. And if you took that gamble and you lost, you got to ante up again. And that's just the way I see it. And Yoan Moncada, I started that stupid fucking ban list because people were shitting on him his rookie year when he was struggling. I'm like, dude, you got to watch this from like development isn't linear necessarily. Like, not everybody's a superstar at the bat. This guy's got a good approach. He doesn't swing up balls off the plate. When he does decide to swing, which was his biggest issue, it's much easier to teach someone to be more aggressive than to tone it down. Then, like, once he becomes more aggressive on pitches in the zone, he is going to flourish. 2019 comes, I think he was 5th in MVP voting that year. And he gets that raise prior to 2020. It's been bad since then.
It's COVID guy.
I do not buy that excuse.
No, I don't mean the disease. I don't mean it like, oh, COVID guy, like, we got virus, never bounced back. I mean it from the standpoint of, like, COVID impacted the way guys prepped and the way they went in their seasons.
Yeah,
and the way
for sure.
there are some pitchers who attribute COVID to, like Scott Efros, who got traded to the Yankees,
Yep.
is like, dude, COVID, best thing ever happened because I got 8 months to tinker and fuck around without all these coaches, and I got to learn how to throw some nasty shit. And it's easier for pitchers, but I think if you're a hitter like Moncada and you're away from a team, hasn't he been bad since 2020?
He was
That's a
good.
bad
I would say he was good last year. He wasn't near what he was in 2019, but I really think that once he got paid, and mind you, this is the second time he got paid because he signed one of the last like major international free agent contracts that existed. I mean, they could come back with a new CBA, but they're long gone right now. He's gotten paid twice now. He'll make $80 million without really having done anything in his career. I mean, he's got generational wealth on generational wealth. I really think he just mailed it in and doesn't care.
It's
and
crazy.
I'm not in. I want people to understand that this has nothing to do with his demeanor on the field because he's just a laid back guy. He doesn't get emotional either way. He doesn't get pissed off when an umpire rings him up on a ball a foot off the plate. He's just a laid back guy in general. I just don't think he cares off the field when like the cameras aren't rolling. I really do think that. And it sucks because you see guys like, for instance, Danny Mendick, who had to scratch and claw to just even not be thought of as an organizational depth guy.
This is like the Rudy thing where it's like if you had a tenth the heart of Ruger, you would have made All-American.
Exactly. Like, and Frank Thomas said this the other night. I actually hit up Mendick with this video just to show him because I wholeheartedly believe this. Like, Frank Thomas, one of the most, like, I love the Fox post game in the playoffs when it's Frank Thomas, Pete Rose, all those guys just yucking it up about baseball and Big Papi. Those guys are baseball junkies to the core, to the point where like you watch a broadcast and you're learning something about hitting or the art of fielding a baseball or whatever it is. Frank Thomas, he's like, this team is missing Danny Mendick because this team just doesn't have any dog in it. Like, Danny Mendick would be the first to tell you, he's probably my height, maybe an inch or so taller, 5'8". And, you know, he doesn't have that twitchiness. He doesn't have that explosion that Yoan Moncada does.
He drags guys into the fight, though.
Yes. He's that fucking soldier. I swear to God, Lucas Giolito told me that Danny Mendick will work with the pitching staff as a catcher because in the case they need an emergency catcher, like, he wants the pitching staff to trust him to the point where they can throw any pitch and trust his game planning. That's how much Danny Mendick works his dick off. And he'll never catch a fucking pitch in his life.
Yeah.
But just in that 1% of 1% chance he does have to, he wants that level of trust from his. That's the kind of guy they're missing. And it sucks that he got hurt. The team was playing very well when Tim was when he was hurt. We'll see what this Lennon Sosa cat, who's only 22 years old, what he brings. He had a fucking missile last night.
Yeah, big arm.
Big arm, really good fielder. Not highly thought of by all the publications per se, but like if you watch him, you're like, that guy might be something. So, but as a whole, like this has been the most depressing, just off baseball season of my entire life, and expectations for the fan base were sky high. Even though we didn't like the offseason, we all hated the offseason. We were like, all right, well, the division's trash.
Yeah, you thought it'd be enough.
We thought it'd be enough, and I still think it will be enough in spite of me canceling the team and canceling the season a couple days ago. But this is not what they're playing for. They're not playing for, to be a game and a half back of the Twins in August. They told us multiple parades. The White Sox said this. I was arguing with this kid on Twitter the other day. He's like, if your expectations are that, go root for the Dodgers. I'm like, buddy, like, my expectations are this, and I expect the White Sox to be an actual legitimately great organization because the White Sox told us to expect that. The White Sox directed us to do that. That's not us having false hope.
Yeah.
Now it's false hope because we don't trust them anymore to do the right thing and to fix this mess. But it's just like, it's disheartening, and there's still a shred of me that says that they're going to get hot and they're going to be that team that nobody wants to play in the playoffs because they won 10 or 12 to end the season. But that's my heart speaking. My brains think this is just a 500 team. That's it. No better, no worse. They could beat the Yankees on any given day, Dodgers, whoever, or they could lose to the Royals and just get completely face fucked by fucking the fat pitcher that Tim Anderson got into it with last summer. It is what it is, and they have a big mess to clean up this winter. But I mean, maybe they win the division, maybe they don't. Go into the playoffs, play your dicks off. I don't think they're going to win a postseason series.
What moves
They're
them
not good
forward more next offseason, winning or losing it?
Say that again?
What moves the needle more, if the needle can be moved at all, for Jerry to have an active offseason, winning or losing?
There's two thoughts there. One is the thought that they've already recognized and looked at this season as a failure and are already planning on cleaning up this mess. And then, in spite of what happens the rest of the year or in the playoffs, should they get there, or on the flip side, if they make the playoffs, anything can happen. Maybe they win the World Series, maybe they don't, maybe they get swept, maybe they sweep whatever it is, and they look at us and go, they've made the playoffs 3 years in a row. We told you guys sustained success. There you have it. That's the first time we've ever done this in our organization's history. If that's the case and they don't make major changes, I'm not renewing my season tickets. Why would I? I'll go to a game when I feel like going to a game, and I'll pay $7 to sit in the 500s and then move behind the dugout instead of dropping the $1,000 and giving that season ticket rep their money, which I don't want to take it out of some 23-year-old kid's pocket. But that's what you guys will force me and many other people to do.
There's a good chance the White Sox at some point, like if it's not this season, you can say objectively that their best baseball at this point is still in front of them for the year. Like they haven't had that like crazy hot thing. And it'll be interesting to see with how much scar tissue the first 105 games is imposed upon the fan base. If you guys play your best baseball at some point this season, or more interesting would be like next year if you guys are really good, I don't think the fans are coming back from where you guys are at right now. I think like when they're really good, like where you guys are at mentally is like, God damn it. Like I don't think that'll go away unless you win a World Series trophy.
Shelly Duncan, you know who Shelly Duncan is?
Yeah.
It's a legend, of course.
Legend, Shelly.
Shelly Duncan, he's like their head analytics guy. I follow him on Twitter. I've never spoken to him or anything, but this is back when I think it was only 25% capacity, so only like 10,000 people could go to the games and all that, and they had different sections roped off, blah, blah, blah. There was a video that we tweeted from the Barstool Chicago account. Those outfield bleachers last summer was a fucking zoo. Everybody was having the time of their life because we're like, we finally arrived. 2020 was a nice little taste, kind of like 2015 for the Cubs. Mm-hmm. But this year we're here, and we're here to stay. And the fans, they embrace that. And those bleachers were a riot. I could not wait. It could be a Tuesday night. I'm like, I'm going to get fucked up in the bleachers. I'm not doing that this summer because I don't want to waste $150 watching a lifeless team, And the fan base reverberates that. Yeah, Thursday through Saturday games are still slammed, and it's a great time, but the vibe's not there because the team's not giving us anything to feed off of. It's and Rick Hahn said this as much in his post deadline press conference, which we'll get to in a brief moment. He's like, we lost our swagger. I don't know how that swagger just flips in one offseason, but it absolutely did.
They need a fight.
Someone needs to just like
I know that's like the biggest meatball comment in the world, but they need
something to rally behind.
They need they need a galvanizing
something.
moment, and
Yes.
I think that they need a fight. They
Like,
either have to fire the manager or you have to get.
I told one of the guys.
I thoroughly agree.
I told
all right.
Yes.
I told one of the guys this a week back, and it's not often when I talk to a player on the team that I'm talking about baseball. It's usually just random bullshit. Like I know they don't want to talk about baseball, just like they know that I don't want to talk about my job 24 hours a day. So it's usually anything and everything other than baseball. There are exceptions to that rule when, like here and there, when we're talking about the team, like so they're not allowed to drink in the clubhouse anymore. And they're like, dude, we just pack our bags and like go home now. Like every other year, we're there for a couple hours after, like just bullshitting and loosening up.
Guys being dudes.
Guys being dudes. He's like, it's not like that anymore. And I'm like, what? Like, what the fuck, dude? These are all adults. Like, let them be adults until someone really fucks up to the point where you have to do that. I don't know if that happened or not.
It happened with the Angels.
Yeah, that's why. I think it was after Tyler Skaggs. I heard the Cubs took all the alcohol out of their clubhouse. But the Cubs also. I also heard that there were Cubs players that liked the alcohol in the clubhouse a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, enough where if that was the sole reason to get rid of the booze,
But
then get rid
we're
of the
talking
booze.
about galvanizing moments. I was like, dude, just take the team out to like and get completely shit-faced on the night before a day game. Show up to the park an hour and a half beforehand, put your jerseys on, be hungover as fuck, and stop thinking so much.
I mean that is the thing, and that's I know like the
It's not like
Hawks-
baseball's a physical sport.
No,
Unless you're a pitcher, catcher.
Joel would always, before Vegas had a team, the Hawks would do their West Coast trip, and depending on how things were going, Joel would usually take them for a couple of nights in the middle of a road trip, middle of the season, kind of dog day of the season. Well, all right, boys, we're all going to Vegas. And like the team would go, they get excited, and then everybody would have a good weekend, and all of a sudden they'd start.
You stop thinking about why am I grounding out to shortstop so much?
Yeah.
All the little things that clog your brain.
reset. Yeah.
It's a reset, exactly. And I'm not necessarily advocating for them to use that method, but anything to like, and I'll say this again. All the rumors about the bad clubhouse, everybody at this point knows it was Dallas Keuchel talking shit. We all saw the tweets about his mom calling the White Sox a dog shit organization, saying, they didn't put a good defense behind Dallas. While all that might be true, your son sucked at pitching baseballs for the White Sox. That's just
fact.
It's just a fact. And then the fucking worst team in baseball, Arizona Diamondbacks, released him a few short weeks later because you sucked at pitching baseballs for them too.
Clubhouse problem.
Like, there's no clubhouse problems per se. It's just like I don't think that they're necessarily pulling from. Not that they're not pulling from the same rope. It's just that they're all kind of going through the motions because they have no other choice to do so. I don't know, but I do know there's no like fucking hated players on the team or any cancers on the team. But what I do know is that this season is not it. I'm hoping this is a similar. I don't want to call it storyline, but a similar path that the Mets just took, and Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams and Jerry Reinsdorf huddle up, get on the same page, and fix this. Because whatever happens to end this season, you're 105 plus games into the season. You are what your record is right now.
Yeah, it's officially part of their like narrative and history. Like the 2022 season, as it stands today, is a massive letdown.
It's the biggest, most disappointing season of my lifetime. There's not not even close second.
I'll throw the 04 Cubs up there. Traded for Nomar, the 03 shit when it fell apart, and they were pretty competitive and had won some games and stuff, and then it just like, you get to the end of the season, you're like, dude, the team's not fucking good, man.
Yeah.
What is this? But even then, it's not nearly as disappointing with the White Sox because, to your point last year, going to the bleachers and stuff, and the way the Sox are impacted when that team's as good as it is, and like you guys are walking around these expectations heavily and rightfully so, and the fact that they're not doing, it's one thing when the team's bad, It's another thing when the owner's disinterested. It's another thing when the GM or the front office is making moves you don't necessarily agree with. And then it's another thing when your team's not fucking up to expectation, and you guys are all of it. All of it at once. Every fucking lever that you can pull as a fan to be upset about, the White Sox are pulling that lever in the way that hurts fans the most. If they sucked, you wouldn't give a fuck. You would know they sucked.
Yeah,
You'd be,
exactly.
they suck.
I'd go there
and if they were 500
yeah.
and they were 500, you'd be like, yeah, they're 500. Like, they fucking lost today 3-0 because they're inconsistent.
We're talking about
500.
winning 95 plus games this year and being actual serious, legitimate World Series contenders to this in the most pathetic division in baseball. Something bad happened, and I could tell. And I like to say that I can read people a little bit just by watching them or listening to them speak. I could tell Rick Hahn was completely dejected when he was given his post-trade deadline press conference. He, without saying as much, was basically saying, yeah, we fucked up. He's like, I know there's people that are disappointed and frustrated with our lack of moves at the deadline. We are too. And I thought the deadline sucked because I thought they should have tried to pull a Braves from 2021, and they didn't. But thinking about it rationally, I don't know that there was a move to make in a trade deadline that would put this team over the top because they need a lot.
Yeah, they need more from within before I would go out. Like, you just need more from within. And if you're going to sacrifice the
Tim
future,
Anderson's he's had 500 or 5 extra base hits in his last 225 at bats or something. That's not Tim Anderson. Mercado, we talked about him, fucking horrific. Grandal's cooked. No, what? Jose Abreu. I'll say this: Jose Abreu, Dylan Cease, obviously he is almost so good he doesn't count. But Jose Abreu and Johnny Cueto are the only 2 guys I would go to war for on this team. Like, those guys are fucking. They got that.
Surprised Cueto's up there too. I mean, Abreu's earned it.
He is Johnny Cueto. I assumed it was one of the standard White Sox past their prime signings that they're going to DFA in 4 weeks because he's fucking beyond fried. That guy goes out every 5 days. He did it once on 4 days rest because Kopech got hurt, and he's just like, I'll pitch, and goes out there 4 pitches, works quick, and hits the edges, and he's a pitcher. And he goes out there and battles his fucking nutsack off every start. And this is not to say that all these other guys aren't trying, because they obviously are. They're just not playing well. But like, him and Abreu are the only 2 guys that like you could kind of feel their energy, The rest of the guys, it's just like same shit every single day. Sliders off the plate, swing and a miss. Mercado looking at a ball right down the middle and then swinging at a slider on his back hip. It's like, when are you guys going to fix this?
Yeah.
And it is what it is. And ironically enough, they had a fucking awful day of baseball yesterday, picked up a half game in the standings because they split a doubleheader and the Twins lost. Nobody really wants this division. I think the White Sox probably end up winning it, and they'd be the 3 seed, correct? Because they'd be the
they'd be the division.
Yeah, so they'd play Tampa, which
and if you win that, then you play the 2 seed. You actually get to avoid the 1 seed for a little bit.
I mean, I wish they would just play the Astros and Yankees again and just get their faces caved in again, because like, those are the 2 teams you got to beat right now,
Oh, the Astros from the playoff series last year, the Astros have just gotten so much better.
And
from where the White Sox are too.
1,000%.
Where it'd be like, okay, we'll see those guys next year. It's like, well, you guys play that series right now. It'd be like, nope, no.
Yeah, but Cease though.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's why, White Sox fan, you want to hang on to something, Dylan Cease and Kopech. But here's where the similarities are, where I'm like, oh, this reminds me a lot of 18 when the Cubs lost the playoff game against the Rockies, the wild card game, where you're like, how good these players are, and you're just like, wait, and sometimes the switch just will not be flipped on the team. And it's futile going into those playoffs. Like the way they played against the Rockies, then just walking around that offseason being like, what? And then you're like, is this how it is now, or is this just an aberration? And obviously we know what happened with the Cubs. Like, that's how it was. And I'm like, oh God, this better not be it for the White Sox. I will say the big difference between these 2 is that, like, again, going back to Cease, like, Cease can win you 3 games in a 7-game playoff series. He can win you a game 1 and a game 5 in an ALDS. Like, fuck out of here, man. He'll win game 1 of the wild card. Like, he's so good. All you have to do is give that guy a chance, and then hope so. And pray
that the
timing. Yeah.
That's all. That's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Just
Inside straight.
hoping you get, Cy Cease. Hoping that it clicks all of a sudden for almost the entire lineup,
offense. Yeah.
All
right, if they have a good week
But
this week, then
as
we
they
come back
say,
next week and
hope
you're
in one
pumped up.
hand, shit in the other. See what fills
Take
up
hope.
first.
Yeah. All right.
Who says that?
I don't know.
It's just a little adage.
I've never heard of that before.
Longer show, deep show, good
Hope
show.
in one hand, shit in the other. It's basically saying like hope, like it's useless.
Lance, what do you got on Vols?
Don't care. All gas.
No breaks.
No breaks.
DJ, play that shit.